Adobe Illustrator. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at lesson 2. I'm going to open up, and we're going to open up this. So the artwork is located on artboards. So in this document, there's 3 artboards. 1, 2, and 3. Now each artboard is laid out a little differently, and I can zoom in and out. Or if you want to specifically go to 3 and have it full size, down here, right here where it shows the number 1, I'm going to click and I'm going to go to pieces. And then I have my artboard number 3 on the screen. And so the tools here are very similar to the tools that we used in Adobe Animate, and they're located right here on the left-hand side. So I'm going to click on the selection tool. Now there's 2 different selection tools, and we're going to use both of them today, but this first one, we're just going to use the regular selection tool. And as you can see, if I click on something, it highlights it and gives it bounding boxes to stretch, do whatever we need to do. So I'm going to move this on top of here. And then now what we're going to do is I'm also going to put this, I'm going to drag and draw a selection box around it all. And I'm just going to drop this right onto there. And I had it centered. So you see these guides that are popping up. These are called smart guides, and they actually help out a lot, and they tell you when something's centered and aligned correctly. And then the same thing I'm going to do to this level up. I'm just going to drag this and put this inside of here. Now, the thing is, when dealing with the selection tool, like I said, this direct selection tool actually allows us to hit up, and as you can see, this is called an anchor. So each one of these squares is called an anchor. If I click, I can individually move this anchor and nothing else changes. With a selection tool, which I just went, you see how all these boxes come up. It's a little bit different than this. Now also, you see how it has a little circle here, so you can round it out and make it however you want. So here, I'm just adjusting that side. So you can do a lot with this, with the direct selection tool. Okay. Then I'm going to come over to, and then over here you have as well the preference panel or properties panel, and you can also switch between your artboards here. So I can go to artboard 1 and I can jump right over to this. Now, if you notice, as I'm dragging over, everything's highlighting. So everything is selectable. But what if I want to not select everything and I want to lock certain things? So like maybe I don't want to accidentally move this background. How do I lock it? You come up to, and I have it hidden on the screen right now, but at the very top you go to Object, and then it pulls down a drop down, and then I'm going to just hit Lock Selection. So now it just locks that, so now I cannot move this black background. And then these 2 stars, I'm going to hold Shift and select those 2, and I want to lock those as well. So I know the keyboard shortcut is Command 2 or Control 2 for you Windows users. And then now I want to finish out the rest of this. So I'm going to zoom in, and I don't have to zoom in too far, well, on the other side. So I'm going to click on this. I want to duplicate this. And instead of going Control C, Control V, back and forth, you can hold the Alt key on your keyboard, and you notice, look at how my arrow's changing, and then you can just drag down, and I'm holding Shift, because Shift will not allow me to go left or right, it just allows me to go up and down, and I'm going to try to get it to where they're kind of equal spaced apart, and I want to fill out the rest of my and then we're going to do one more just to finish that out. Okay, and then now, if you notice, they're spaced out, they're not perfect, and that's okay. And that's all okay. So to unlock, because maybe I actually want to change this background. I don't want it black anymore. I want it this kind of purple color. So how do we unlock something? Well, you go to Object, Unlock All, and then now everything's unlocked. So if I click on this black background and I'm coming over here to fill, I'm going to click on this purple color. There we go. Perfect. Now, I also want to go back to artboard number 3. So I'm going to come over here, click on number 3, and then I want to show you how to select all of these instead of just dragging a box, because this is important of what we're going to do, and I'll tell you why. So I'm going to click on this first one. I'm going to come up to the top in the menu and go to select, and then same, and then I'm going to click on same fill and stroke. And guess what? It selects all of these together. And that's actually really nice. Then I'm going to go to select, save selection, and I'm going to call this dots. I'm going to press OK. So now I can still individually click on them, but if I come up to select and I go to dots, they're all selected, which is really nice. But sometimes we need to hide stuff so we can work with other stuff. On this, for example, see all the stars, they're in my way? Well, how do we get them to be hidden? How do we hide them? Well, I'm going to do that same kind of a thing. I'm going to click on one star, doesn't matter which star you click on, and I'm going to go to select, same, but on this one I'm going to go to same appearance. And notice it's a big box and it comes over to this side too. Anything with that same appearance is going to be on there. And then to hide it, guess what? We're going to Object, Hide, Hide Selection, and then they're all hidden right now. Then I'm going to just zoom in a little bit. We want to adjust this, but there's some things that are in the background that we can't see. How do I know that? Well, I'm going to come up to View, and then I'm going to go to Outline, Control Y. See what I mean? If we would have selected night or dragged a square around it, and without knowing it, I would have been moving some lines. I don't want that. I just want to get the words, and then I'm just using my arrow key and I'm moving that up a little bit to get off of that line. And then now I'm going to press Control Y, and we just moved it up a little bit. But I'm going to go back into the outline mode, which pressing Control Y, and I'm going to select all of this. The reason why I have to select all of this is because if I don't, I just select this, it's going to just select one thing. So if I want to group these together, over here under Quick Actions, I have Group. So I click Group now, so no matter which I click, it actually selects everything, which is really nice. Hello. What happened there? I lost everything. I don't know why. Well, this is a good way to show this. So I'm going to go, apparently this came up above, so I'm going to go to Arrange, and I'm going to send to Back. So now that's in the background, and now everything got messed up. Don't know how. Control Y, let's bring this. So, that's why. Okay, so let me, because I didn't have the background locked when I did this. Okay, let me hide those stars again. Object, hide. Okay, then let me click on the background and let's lock this background. See, sometimes this is why locking is a good thing. And then let me go into here, select, move up a little bit. And now I want to group it and then come back. Everything's looking perfect. So now the next thing that we're going to look at is aligning objects. So I'm going to come over to Artboard 3. This is a perfect example of showing it. I'm going to zoom in to our Wish version of Pac-Man, and I'm going to go to Select, Dots, and I want these to be aligned. Now, I can go in and individually align these up and down, but then I won't know if they're truly aligned together, and it takes a lot of time. There's a lot easier ways to do this. So over here under Align in the Properties, I'm just going to go to Vertical Align. So you can see they're aligned this way. So they're aligned, when it says vertically, they're aligned from the top and bottom. So that's nice. And so now we need to, so we vertically aligned it. So let's click off of that and go to artboard number 1. And then now I want to align these buttons to this pink square. And doing this is called a key object. A key object is an object you want others to align to. So I'm clicking this, holding shift, I'm going to click on this button, and then I'm going to hold shift again. And I clicked on the pink square. I let go of shift, this is a key thing, and then I'm going to click one more time on this square. And you see how that blue outline actually becomes a thicker blue. This is now the key of where everything is going to align to. And I'm going to click on the vertical align center buttons again, and they aligned to the pink square, which is really nice. So now I can just zoom out, and I'm going to just click in the blank spot, and they're aligned. I'm going to go back to artboard number 3, and I'm going to do what is called distributing objects. So I'm going to go to select, dots, and then I want to go, and over here under align, see these little dots here for more options. I have down here distribute spacing. So, because right now, if you notice, these are close, but the spacing between these are off. So their spacing's off. So how do we do this? So I just clicked that, and it moved them, but the spacing's still off a little bit. So here, I want to specify the key. So to do this, I just click on this first square again, click on align, and then now this is going to be what everything is based off of. So I'm going to put in 7 pixels, enter, and hit this again, and you see everything changed, and now everything is equally spaced. Makes life a lot easier. And there we are. Then, over here, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. We can also align points. So I'm going to use actually the anchor or the direct selection tool. I'm going to click on this first anchor point up here. I'm going to hold shift, and I'm going to click on this one as well. And then I'm going to go to, under align, I'm going to find the align right here. And you notice it aligned it correctly up and down. This last one was the key, so it moved this one. Then we just want to move this over. There's other ways to align it. I just did it the way I wanted to. Coming back over to here, we want to move this. So I'm going to drag a selection over both of these. I'm going to drop this into the hole for the joystick. And then I'm going to draw a selection over this again. And I'm going to press group over in group, quick actions. So now it's grouped. So now if I click it once, but now I'm like, oh man, I want to change something. So how do I change this? I want to change the color of the rectangle here. So how do I change it? Because if I click on it, it selects everything. So to change it, I need to double click, and then I'm going to click one more time. When we double click, you notice how everything else turned gray on the outside. That's called isolation mode. We're in isolation mode. So I'm going to come over here to fill. I'm going to choose a different color gray. Sure, I like that one. To exit isolation mode, you can press escape, double click, or you can just press back one level and back again. And then there we are. So now I'm going to click on this. I'm going to zoom out. And then I'm going to drag it over here. Now, you notice it's behind it. How do we get it above? We can just come over here to arrange, bring to front. And then if we want to make sure these are aligned together, that's fine. We can just hold Shift, click, click, and then just make sure we're aligned. And you can see by just testing out, what do you want? I'm going to align the bottoms just to make sure it's all there. Oh, and let's also align to this. And then hit not what I want. So you can play around with this. I'm just going to move it. Sure, looks good. And then we're going to come over here. We're going to group this together. So you can also press Control G for grouping. So now I'm just going to put this right over there. And then this guy, we're going to also group. But now, since it's a group, how do I change the color of him? Well, remember isolation mode, but then to change the color again, I need to double click again. This is called a nested group. And now I can change his fill color. So I'm going to make him a little blue. And then now if I click again, everything's selected. And we're going to move this on here. And there is our this is our postcard for our company game night. And that is the basics of everything you really need to know for right now for the postcard design. But something else that you can do and that makes life a little bit easier at sometimes to get those complex shapes of like the Wish version of Pac-Man. I'm just going to draw a circle. I'm going to make the fill non-existent, and then the stroke, let's just make it black. Okay. Now I'm going to press the letter V, drew a circle. I'm going to hold Alt, and then it to duplicate, and I'm going to do one more time. So I have 3 circles here. I'm going to drag a selection over all 3, and then right here, nope, not the right tool, right here, this one. This is the shape builder tool. So now you can see it's putting a mesh between each one. So with this shape builder tool, you can make complex shapes using different shapes and whatnot. So if you want to add things together, now that's just one circle. If I want to remove, I can remove, and now I have a sideways Batman symbol, or I can make it look like this. There's many different things, or if you want, say, a moon, now I can do that. I get a moon. So there's different shapes that you can do, and it's whatever your heart desires, and how you rearrange things is how you can make complex shapes, and this is that shape builder tool. You just first have to select everything and then do what you need to do, and you can see in this example here, they're making a cloud. And that is it for this first part of Adobe Illustrator.